So just under current legislation, who's the responsible person? The responsible person is the person that ultimately is responsible for complying with the various compliance requirements. And generally, this is the owner of the property. So every owner has to keep their own records. Now, there's no stipulations on how these records should be formatted or kept. However, it is obviously advisable to seek guidance from your respective local working group on what's the best way. A simple maintenance and testing checklist can be used to ensure that most items and equipment are checked and tested as per the best practice guidance. A suitable record of testing and maintenance could be kept in the form of a logbook, or alternatively, records can be held electronically. So records of completion of compliance tasks could be kept as a checklist that maybe your housekeeper or the relevant staff member would check and sign off at on every changeover, or upon completion of whenever the relevant scheduled maintenance is required. Now, you can use SuperControl for your compliance needs, and I'm now going to outline some practical steps that you can take within SuperControl to ensure that your properties meet your compliance requirements. I'm going to mention 4 different things: your property settings, your property notes and reminders, housekeeper notes, as well as then third-party or channel compliance. So let's start off with property settings. Maybe the regular users of SuperControl may have noticed some tweaks of when we released our recent UI changes, specifically on the property settings page. Specifically, we've added the EPC rating and the property license number to the property setting page, so you can now log the relevant details here. So you can see them highlighted there. So it may be called the property or tourist license number is the one that I'm referring to, and then obviously the EPC rating. Now, agency accounts also have the option for their owners to add the necessary EPC rating and the property license number to their property settings page, if you've allowed your owners to add or amend property details in their login details. So those with owners, they would have had to check that particular check settings. You also have the option to set up reminders. Maybe you want to set up a gas safety certificate renewal, or PAT testing due date, or an annual health and safety audit, etc. You want to go ahead and set that up for your property in SuperControl. So in order to do this, you need to go to your properties, specifically go to the web details, and here you can then add custom fields. You may enter a name for your reminder in the text, and then next to it, you can select the field type. So in my case, I've selected it to be a date reminder, and then I've added a new one. You can then go to your properties, each individual properties, and edit or select the property and look at their custom fields. If you look at the custom fields, you then have the option to go and change and to tick to have an alert reminder. And then just remember to click save. And then obviously when the chosen date arrives, the reminder will show up on your login screen, something like this. And then if you want to stop the alert from showing in the future, you just click on the property within the alert, and then you'd go in and untick the alert reminder and set change, or possibly if you need to clear the date or reset to a new date. So there are those features to remind you to do certain things within your property. In terms of housekeeper notes, to inform a housekeeper about guest special requirements, or maybe even remind them to perform specific tasks, like, for example, I mentioned a Legionella flush or to test the smoke alarms, you can use the notes within the booking. So within the booking, the way you do this is by clicking on the edit function. You can then select the housekeeper's note. So you'll see there's different tabs. If you check the housekeeper's notes, this is where you can go in and add as many notes as you need for your housekeeper to view on the housekeeper's login. In response, your housekeeper can then add their own notes via the housekeeper login. And this could be to inform you of anything that you need to know. Maybe they need to record that they did as per your requirements. The housekeeper, or maybe even you, when impersonating as a housekeeper, just needs to go to add booking notes. Now, the housekeeper can search by searching various parameters. And then what happens is a list of all the bookings that meet whatever criteria that they've put in. So maybe they've searching for a specific cottage, and they can add notes within it. Like clicking just the add notes and typing thing in there and selecting save, so they'll be available for you to view. Now, the last thing that I wanted to quickly chat before I hand over to Henry is about our third-party or channel compliance. Now, our developers have been busy building a tool in the back end that will monitor our various third-party channel API connections. So those are the connections like Airbnb, Booking.com, Vrbo, Cottage.com, etc., just a few. And what happens is that if a new compliance-related field is required by these various APIs, we are alerted. This means that it enables us to be aware of the various API changes published by the channels without them needing to alert us to the new requirement, although this is a task that they often forget. And then we can quickly add the new field to the property settings if necessary and distribute this field to the channel. The tool is also location-based too. So if a specific location requires a specific compliance field and the channel adds it to the API, then means that we'll make this field available to you if your property is based in this location. You'll see that also there'll soon be a new compliance tab that will be listed within your property. And here you'll actually have choice as to whether you send compliance information from SuperControl to the various channels or not. So that will give you a little bit more control as to what you send your third parties. Each channel listing also will have a compliance tab. And when necessary, we will clearly display the requirements and validate and then alert you if any information is missing and provide you with the option to complete the missing field. So keep an eye out for this important development alert when it goes live. There's an example I've put in here. This is a listing that we put up on for Scotland. You'll see that the regulatory rules that we needed to do some compliance activations within Airbnb, for example. So that's just an example of one that we've already done just to comply with all the recent regulation changes that have been made for Scotland.